Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about Beastly Kingdom, the unmade land at Disney's Animal Kingdom at the Walt Disney World Resort. You're listening to episode 126 of the Theme Park Duo podcast.
Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable encounter.
Hi, and welcome to the Theme Park Duo podcast. Grab your park map, churro, and hop in line with us as we take you on a coast-to-coast adventure through the world of theme parks, haunts, conventions, and more. Now, here's your hosts, Nikki and Gabriel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Theme Park Duo podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Gabe.
And we are
the Theme Park Duo. We finally have a history episode lined up for everybody to listen to. There was quite a few of these ones that we wanted to plan during the last season of the show, but because of timing and just our lives getting in the way, I didn't have the time to really put into the research part of it because there's a lot of research that goes into these episodes.
Yeah.
They're not easy episodes to put together. So finally, I had time to sit down and do one that I've really wanted to do for a while because I found out that Nikki knows nothing about this.
Literally nothing.
So we're talking Beastly Kingdom, the unmade land at Disney's Animal Kingdom and the Walt Disney World Resort. Something that a lot of people have covered. This is actually not a very uncommon topic. You know, there's plenty of videos out there about it. Articles, websites, web pages, literally everything. So if you're listening to this, you might hear this information before, but you know, it's worthy enough to put into an episode one because Nikki doesn't even know anything about it, and the more I talk about it, the more curious she gets. Two, it's just an interesting part of history, and because of a lot of things that kind of happened to keep it from becoming reality. So that's the reason why we really wanted to cover Beastly Kingdom today.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you just said something that I didn't even know. I didn't know that it was not even the whole park. Like
yeah, we were actually like just briefly talking about it before the episode even recorded. We started recording here.
And I just assumed that we were going to be talking about this thing that was going to be the whole park. Like I thought Beastly Kingdom was supposed to be Animal Kingdom, but you just mentioned that it was only going to be like a portion, like a land in Animal Kingdom.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I know nothing.
So if you're listening to this and you don't know what the heck we're talking about, this is the perfect episode for you. Even if you've heard this kind of stuff before, it's still fun to listen to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll have a good time listening to the history and the lead up and things like that about Beastly Kingdom and Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, if you guys are enjoying this type of content, don't hesitate. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star written review. That stuff greatly helps out the show, and we appreciate it so much. Also, make sure you check out the show sponsor, DRNXMYTH, if you like fresh made drinks delivered directly to your door. So let's waste no more time and jump directly into the history episode of Beastly Kingdom. So to kind of understand Beastly Kingdom as a whole, I think it's kind of important to understand the creation of Animal Kingdom as its own park. So Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park is a zoological theme park. It isn't just a zoo, not just a zoo, it's not a glorified zoo, at the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, and is currently the largest theme park in the world, covering 580 acres. The park opened on Earth Day, April 22nd of 1998, and was the fourth theme park built at Walt Disney World. The park is dedicated and themed entirely around the natural environment and animal conservation, a philosophy once pioneered by Walt Disney himself. So a lot of it's still very much connected to Disney history. It kind of feels slightly separated if you don't know the Disney history, but it's very connected, mainly because of that. But also, Walt had a lot of those early shows where he went on like adventures in the forest and stuff. A lot of things that also tied back into Jungle Cruise as well. Which originally, I believe, the Jungle Cruise planned to have, or he wanted to have live creatures, and it just wasn't not feasible at all. Yeah. So they didn't do that. But that also is the reason why Animal Kingdom exists today. So that's kind of nice. Disney's Animal Kingdom was famously greenlit with... So this story in general, I don't know if it's totally true. I think I remember hearing Joe Rody saying it was taken out of context.
Okay.
But this is the rumor / stories that go around about it. So Disney's Animal Kingdom Park was famously greenlit when Imagineer Joe Rody brought a 400-pound Bengal tiger into a meeting with then Disney CEO Michael Eisner.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the story. Like that.
How
he just
is that taken out of context?
But like, either
you bring a live tiger to a meeting or you don't.
I think when I hear that, I think he brought a tiger in and it jumped up on the table. That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
But it could very much have been like a baby tiger, and then, you know, telephone, it turns into a 400-pound tiger.
True.
Or it was in a cage or something.
It might have been in a cage.
In my mind, it's loose and it freaking jumped up on the table and did what it's wanted, took a huge dump or something. That's what happens in my mind. Originally, it was going to be called Disney's Wild Animal Kingdom. The park costs anywhere between $600 and $800 million to design.
Whoa.
And Disney Imagineers traveled from Africa to Asia to study the landscape and wildlife. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that is built into Animal Kingdom is real life examples from Africa and Asia, which is very cool.
Yeah.
You know, they really did their research. And I know I've seen plenty of videos of Joe Rohde traveling the world to make sure that he gets the most minute details correct, which is very impressive in my mind. Disney's Animal Kingdom is distinctly different from the rest of Walt Disney World's theme parks because while it still features traditional attractions, it also showcases hundreds of live animals. The park is located on the western edge of the Walt Disney World property and is specifically isolated from the rest of the theme parks at Walt Disney World to minimize external disruptions to the animals. As a result, the park's nighttime show also features no fireworks that would disrupt the animals. So it
makes sense.
Also, I read somewhere that they don't have balloons and they use paper straws. They don't have plastic cups.
Yeah, no,
things
that's
like
true.
that. You know, I mean, in all honesty, those are things that should be just done in general.
It should be,
but it makes sense to have it at that park like that.
Especially since like things like balloons floating up into the air, like it's a huge issue for like
animals
sea
choking
life
on
and
it.
stuff. Yeah,
any animal, like
Any
elephant
animal,
choking on a balloon. That's not good.
Yeah.
How'd your elephant die? Choked on a Mickey balloon. Not a very good explanation there.
Dumbo,
no. Oh
no.
Dumbo, no.
What happened to Dumbo's dad?
Oh no. Disney's Animal Kingdom is accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums and the World's Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which indicates that they met and exceeded the standards in education, conservation, and research. I know that you and I, when we went to Walt Disney World, we actually did the Wild Africa trek.
Yes.
So we got to visit Animal Kingdom, but it was kind of almost, it felt like a half day because the Wild Animal Trek took so much time out of the day to do.
And we literally were there, like, it started like a little before opening, right?
Yeah, it actually started at 6 or 7 in the morning. Yeah. Well before anybody was there. So it was actually kind of cool showing up to Animal Kingdom before.
Like we got to walk through an empty park. Yeah.
Remember they were shooting a commercial?
Yeah.
They were shooting a commercial over by the Tree of Life.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so they were shooting a commercial before the park even opened, which was very cool. So we got to do the Wild Africa trek. And if you don't know what this is, it is a upcharge experience. Currently, it's at $200 a person. That's before tax, where you get to go kind of backstage, see how the cast members take care of the animals, how they feed them, background stories behind names of animals, and kind of just the experiences of the cast members.
You also get a private lunch.
Yeah, out on the field where you could see like the elephants and a few other things out there, which is really cool.
It was really cool.
It was just interesting too because you get like a different perspective on how they're able to keep animals separated with like giant hidden moats and like elevated lands and hidden barriers and things like that. So it was very, very fascinating. I remember even specifically this detail stuck out in my head was they had like these little metal bushes kind of like scattered around, and animals did not like going near them. Not because they got hurt, they just didn't like them.
Yeah.
So that kind of
natural deterrence
to kind of keep them away.
It's metal, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So that was also very interesting. But you know, one thing that definitely stuck on my head was at the end of the tour when we were literally leaving, they gave us those rocks, and they said part of the money that you're paying to do this experience goes towards conservation, and if you wanted to go to a particular animal, you could do that. And there was that rectangular wooden box, and each one was sectioned off, and it had like a lion head or a hippo or an elephant head, and you could put the rock in one of those segments, and that's where the money would go that you wanted to choose. Yeah. I think I chose an elephant.
I have no clue what I chose. I don't remember.
Yeah, for some reason that little moment really stuck out of my head. It was just kind of nice that at least even though you're paying for it and you know that money's going towards something, you get to have the ability to choose where it goes to.
It makes it a little bit more personal.
Oh, it totally does. It 100% does. So that was actually really cool. And, that kind of gives us a little bit of a different perspective. Highly suggest checking it out. Like, if you have the money and the time to do it, highly, highly suggest doing the Wild Africa Trek, because it's awesome. Like, you get to put on like a zip line vest and walk over their alligators. Straight up felt like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
We got to watch them feed like big whole, what was it, like big whole lettuce
heads to hippos and stuff.
Yeah. It just and in my personal opinion, you get there early, you do this, then you can skip the regular safari with that long line, and and so after you're done, you just get to go spend the rest of your day doing all the other cool stuff in the park.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good. Like I said, the only downside to it was like, I felt like that day Animal Kingdom was closing early and we kind of lost a little bit of time. So
yeah, but Animal Kingdom is open later now.
Yeah, it is. I just feel like in general, if you don't like time eaters, like that kind of stuff like that, maybe don't do it.
Or maybe if you have multiple days.
Yeah, multiple days at Animal Kingdom would definitely benefit this.
Yeah.
So you could at least take your time and not have to rush at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I didn't feel totally rushed, but I also know that I didn't feel like we had ample time to experience everything we wanted to.
We rode, what's it called, 3
Expedition
times?
Everest three, 4 times?
When we have 3 or 4 trips on Expedition Everest, we were not super crunched for time.
I also think that it was different for us because we had never been there. So we didn't know the layout of the park. We didn't know where anything was. We had to fight about ice cream.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that up. We were on our honeymoon, people, and we got on a fight over ice cream.
Yeah, and because Nikki wanted ice cream, I was like, okay, we'll go find ice cream. And eventually Nikki was like, no, it's fine. We don't have to go whatever. I'm like, no, we're going to go find it. Nikki's like, no, we're fine. We don't need ice. No, we're going to go find it.
He was determined to get his brand new wife ice cream.
That's my wife.
Even if she didn't want it anymore.
You're getting ice cream whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Getting a Mickey head.
Mickey pretzels.
Mickey pretzels is what you like anyway.
I gained 10 pounds that trip from Mickey pretzels.
So much walking with so much weight gained. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. You think that it would offset, but no, you come back fatter after walking 100 miles.
We drank tons of alcohol. We ate Mickey pretzels up the wazoo, and I would not share with you.
No. That was like one thing the entire trip. You're like, I'm not sharing. These are my
pretzels.
Mickey pretzels.
It's
you said
my
it
thing.
You said it on the plane ride over there.
I just wanted
like you said
to
it as like
make sure
a ground
you knew.
rule.
No,
there was nothing. There was no other rule the entire honeymoon except for don't touch my Mickey pretzels.
I just honestly, I was anxious about it then, so I just wanted to let you know.
I'm anxious about you trying to. Well,
I didn't want it to be an issue. I didn't want us to go up to a Mickey pretzel vendor, and you order one, bring it back to me, and expect to share it. I just wanted to let you know that if you wanted any Mickey pretzel, you had to get 2.
The thing is that I am aware of this really weird relationship you have with Mickey pretzels. And I am by no means getting in between that.
Okay.
I am never going to get in between you and your Mickey pretzel because I don't choose violence. I'm not going to do that.
Well, thank you.
I'm never going to do that. Just like you won't get in between me and getting a pickle because you don't like pickles.
I don't like pickles. Yeah, there's no
Mickey pretzel ain't my favorite thing in the world. You get your own thing. I got my thing. You got your thing. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, but it's like... There would have been, I would have given it to you, but
there would have been hell to pay.
But if you would have been like, "Hey, give me a bite," God, it would have hurt. So I would have given it to you. Do you hear
the pain in her voice just by the idea of me asking for a bite of a pretzel?
I cherish every morsel.
You cherish?
Cherish.
Okay, just checking.
Every morsel of my Mickey pretzel and cheese.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. I see the happiness that comes in your face. When you get a Mickey pretzel, that's happiness I can't give you.
Did you know that when I was pregnant, I got so upset over the fact that they don't start serving Mickey pretzels in the park until 11?
There was almost a complete meltdown at Disneyland.
Because I wanted a Mickey pretzel at 10 a.m. while I was pregnant.
And nothing was open. I had to play firefighter and put out those fires.
Yeah.
During that trip to make sure things were fine because she was about to tear Disneyland down to the ground.
And then during COVID, Even when the park reopened, there were no Mickey pretzels in sight for a
year. That was weird.
Churros were there, but there were no Mickey pretzels, and it was heartbreaking.
You got one eventually.
Eventually, it took like near
the
year.
End of it was like near the end of the day on our trip.
Yeah.
Our last trip.
Yeah.
Our last trip.
Now I want a Mickey pretzel. Damn.
Anyway, Mickey pretzel tangent over.
Sorry.
Mickey pretzel tangent over.
You started by bringing up ice cream.
I know the ice cream fight. The ice cream fight. That was.
Don't ask me how it's your fault because you brought up ice cream, but it just is. It just is.
Anyway, back on track. When Animal Kingdom opened, it featured Discoveryland, Africa, Dinoland USA, and Camp Mini Mickey, and then Asia opened shortly after that. Discovery Island is located at the center of the park and is an island within the park's Discovery River waterway. It serves as a central hub connecting the other sections of the park by bridges, with the exception of Rafiki's Planet Watch. It was originally called Safari Village, as Discovery Island was the name of the small zoological park located in Walt Disney World's Bay Lake, but renamed after the area closed in 1999. The Africa section of the park is set in the fictional East African port village of Harambe. This area contains several animal exhibits. Some snippets from Africa that were duplicated by the Disney Imagineers are a fortress that was found in Zanzibar and a water-stained, crumbling old building that was found in Kenya. Harambe includes a hotel, restaurants, and an outdoor bar that has live entertainment in different marketplaces. The village is the namesake of the Harambe Wildlife Preserve, the fictional home of Africa's main attraction, Kilimanjaro Safaris. Guess that's where you climb aboard the big vehicles and you go see all the animals out in the land area and stuff. I mean, that's like the big main attraction. You can't really miss it. That's where you see all the elephants. Dinoland USA is themed around dinosaurs and other extinct prehistoric life. The area is anchored by the Dino Institute, a fictitious paleontological facility, which is home to Dinosaur, a dark thrill ride inspired loosely by the 2000 Disney animated film of the same name, so Dinosaur. Which, by the way, if you didn't know this, interesting fact, Dinosaur's track layout is a literal exact copy of the Indiana Jones Adventure track layout.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing.
And we were so used to Indiana Jones that it was hard to not like go through the Indiana Jones ride in your mind as you're going through every turn of Dinosaur.
Here's the stakes. Here's the bridge.
Yeah.
Here's the rats.
Here's the skeletons.
Here's the skeletons.
Yeah.
You pinpoint everything. Of course, like the pacing and everything is different, but like
all
you could tell. All the beats are the same.
Yeah.
Adjacent to the Institute and its surrounding facilities is Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama, which recalls the many roadside attractions that were once scattered throughout the United States, being constructed by the owners of an old gas station hoping to take advantage of the tourism business the Institute has brought in. The area features a Triceratops spin aerial carousel ride, carnival games, and gift shops. So there's a few other things in that area too. Then there was Camp Mini Mickey. Camp Mini Mickey was themed as a rustic summer camp built as a placeholder for what we're talking about today. It served as a meet and greet area for Disney characters like Mickey, Minnie, and other famous characters, like stuff like that would fit in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
The area closed in January 5th, on January 5th of 2014 and was replaced by Pandora, the World of Avatar. So, since Camp Mini Mickey was a placeholder for Beastly Kingdom, what happened?
Yeah.
So, as we know it now, the park is this park is based on extinct animals and current living animals. But there was a section called Beastly Kingdom that was supposed to focus on the animals that only exist in the realm of fantasy. So if you think about it within that context, that makes plenty of sense.
Yeah.
You have the current living, extinct, and magical creatures, essentially.
Yeah.
Things that don't exist.
Dragons, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's a pretty cool premise for a park in general. And what's weird is the fact that it was never built, but there's still plenty of like things to look at in the park that you could see that it was supposed to be there, which we'll get to eventually. The original design for Animal Kingdom included a theme section called the Beastly Kingdom, which showcased, like I said, creatures of legend and mythology. During the final stages of planning of development, Michael Eisner decided that either Beastly Kingdom or Dinoland USA would be built first due to budget cuts after the failure of Euro Disney, which is currently called Disneyland Paris, and the higher cost of the upkeep and care for the animals at the park.
There's so many things that we've talked about on the show that were ruined because of Euro Disney.
Yeah, because of the failure.
Yeah.
Just because there was that deserves its own episode and talking about what happened to that park, the lead up to that park, because there was a lot of political things that were happening with it too, and people in Europe not wanting Disney.
Yeah.
Like they just didn't want it there. They didn't want it to ruin the countryside. They didn't want it to ruin the country at all. All that stuff. They felt like it would be like a tarnish essentially.
Yeah.
So even though Disney Paris was absolutely stunning, it failed because nobody wanted to go.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of issues there, and that's like a whole nother can of worms that I don't even want to get into, but you're 100% right. That had a ripple effect across the board.
Yep.
The two things that I can think of, at least off the top of my head right now, was Westcott and this.
I'm still mourning Westcott.
What could have
been. Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So because Dinoland USA was
built first.
Not built first, because it was significantly less money to build.
Yeah.
There wasn't that much going into it. That's the reason why they went in that direction. And honestly, that's the part of the park everyone hates the most. And I don't think it's because of the what could have been, like maybe we should have done Beastly Kingdom instead.
Yeah.
I think it's just because people don't perceive it to hold up to the standard of everything else that's in that park.
Yeah.
People have a high standard when it comes to Animal Kingdom in general, and they don't feel like that mixes well at all, which I don't necessarily disagree or agree. I thought that Dinoland USA was like a cute little area, but the more I think about it, I was like, Would
we be super sad if it wasn't there?
No, and I mean, like, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that there are parts of it that are closed already right now. Like they're getting rid of things already. So as I said, Dinoland USA was built mainly because of its low budget concept. In addition, Camp Mini Mickey was built instead of Beastly Kingdom, and it was meant to serve as a temporary placeholder until Beastly Kingdom could be built. Disney's Animal Kingdom also opened with river boats that showcase the more mythological elements soon to be in the parks, including a unicorn statue, a mention of a dinosaur animated movie, and images of knights near a dragon's cave. Now, I actually think that, I don't remember if I put it down or not, but there's a little bit more detail about, like, suits of armor that were, like, on spikes.
Oh.
Yeah, like, it actually got kind of dark.
Oh, wow.
Like, they got killed by a dragon or something. Like, something insane.
Yeah, like story setup, but...
Something, I don't know. But, like, it seemed kind of dark. But here was kind of, like, the surface level of what Beastly Kingdom had to offer. There are some really cool pieces of concept art that you can look up about Beastly Kingdom. Like, the two main attractions and kind of just, like, an overall... rendering of what it was. Beastly Kingdom was to feature mythological animals such as unicorns, dragons, and sea monsters, featuring palms of both good and evil creatures. The evil side was to be dominated by Dragon Tower, a ruined castle home to a greedy fire-breathing dragon who hoarded a fabulous treasure in the tower chamber. The castle was also inhabited by bats who planned to rob the dragon of his riches. They were to enlist the guests' help in their scheme and whisk them off on a thrilling suspended roller coaster ride through the castle ruins. The climax of the ride was to be an encounter with the evil dragon himself, resulting in a nearby barbecued train of guests. So, like, in my mind, at least, I'm picturing a few different things. So, like, there's a really cool animatronic in the Raft Ride at Shanghai Disney. It's like this gigantic alligator monster creature thing. There's also the dragon under the castle at Disney Paris. Like, just imagine those two things mixed together, and they kind of have that, and then there's your flyby.
Yeah,
and it's like it's a suspended roller coaster version of essentially what's happening at Expedition Everest, like the giant animatronic, which would be super cool. And then on the good side was to be home to Quest of the Unicorn, an adventure that would send guests through a maze of medieval mythological creatures to seek the hidden grotto where the unicorn lives. Finally, the Fantasia Gardens attraction was to be a musical boat ride through animal scenes of the 1940 Disney animated film Fantasia. The ride was to feature both the crocodiles and hippos from Dance of the Hours, and the Pegasus, Fauns, and Centaurs from Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony. I feel like that is missing a fantastic opportunity to put in Night on Bald Mountain. Like I feel like Night on Bald Mountain is just completely underutilized in general.
Yeah.
That was like a perfect opportunity to include it. Not that it ever freaking got made or anything like that. Clearly it wasn't. But like, how is that not even included anywhere? In the plans. Yeah. Like, if you had Beastly Kingdom and you had the evil side, that's the perfect place to have a meet and greet with what's the creature's name? Trinabog from Night on Bald Mountain. Absolutely fantastic. But these are all sound like very, very fun concepts and ideas. Things that don't, like, it's hard for me to picture it in my head though, because they're not what I'm used to Disney being today.
Yeah.
You know, I think you and I both are very much in the same boat where it's like when we think about Disney stuff today, it's all IP. It's movie-based things, and yes, they had this Fantasia attraction, but the other two main attractions were very much original concept ideas.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like the fact that even still at that time, they were considering doing original concept pieces. You know, Animal Kingdom in and of itself is still like an original concept, but it's cool that you kind of had that opportunity. And it stinks that they didn't kind of go with that. I mean, Dinoland USA, I guess, is original. I mean, you had Dinosaur, which was based on the film, things like that. So it's a little bit disappointing. But I like the idea that even then they still went with original concepts.
And in a way, it's kind of a shame that Beastly Kingdom was never built because, like, even though you said it's cool that it would have been an area with no IPs, like, there would have been so much opportunity to include IPs in that area throughout the years. Like, there could have been an addition of, like, a Coco Alebrije ride or meet and greet.
They could do, like, an Alebrije, what is it, carnival ride where it's carousel where you ride all the different Alebrijes.
That would have been so cool.
I mean, even if it was, like, a dark ride with the Alebrijes. Because
you could ride Dante.
You could ride Dante. Just imagine E.T., but instead of bikes, it's all Dantes, and everyone sits on a Dante riding around. No, in my mind, it would
Pepita.
Everyone would want to ride Pepita.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that kind of attraction would have to be a dark ride, just simply based on the fact that in the film, they are so vibrant and colorful, and they're almost glowing to a certain extent that it would have to be a black light type of attraction. That's the only thing that would work.
You could have an underwater ride where it's like Luca.
Yeah, because you have they're literal sea creatures.
Yeah, they're sea monsters.
Even this talks about sea creatures to a certain extent. So, I mean, like, those kinds of ideas and concepts would be at home in Beastly Kingdom. And I feel like, in general, there has always been, like, this is almost like a side tangent kind of concept slash idea, but there's always been this kind of want from the Disney community for something that's, you know, evil or like bad. People have always wanted a Disney villains park or a Disney villains land or something. Yeah. And I feel like the evil side of this concept would have filled that void easily.
Oh yeah, you could have something
really easily.
You have something with like Ursula.
Ursula would work because she's like the octopus monster thing. That would totally work. You know, imagine having like a villains night inside of Beastly Kingdom of sorts.
Yeah.
Like that would totally work.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, then again, like you don't know how big it would have been or hard to conceptualize how big it could have been based on like what's there now. But the idea that would fill that void of people wanting something that's a little bit darker than you typically have at a Disney park is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I love that concept in my opinion. But, you know, unfortunately it was never made. It never came to be. But that didn't stop them from at least having certain bits and clues throughout the park because it was planned to be made.
Yeah, because it was the plan.
Yeah, because it was the plan. It just never came to fruition. So there are things spread out, even today at Animal Kingdom, that hint to what could have been with Beastly Kingdom. So remnants of Beastly Kingdom can still be found in the park, but you have to search for them with a magnifying glass to find them at times. For example, there's a section of the parking lot labeled Unicorn. The Animal Kingdom logo also features a silhouette of a dragon. A detailed dragon head statue is found atop a ticket booth at the park's entrance, which, I mean, I think we saw it. I think it's like...
Yeah, you saw a picture.
I think it's all the way to the left or something. Like, it's not one of, like, the main ones. Because I know, in my mind, I think there was an elephant or a hippo or something. I don't quite remember off the top of my head. Then an area of Discovery Trading Company has a room themed to animal constellations, including Pegasus. One of the largest remnants were features built for now closed Disney Riverboats attraction, intended as a teaser for Beastly Kingdom, as we talked about before. After passing a dragon-shaped rock formation with water pouring through its teeth, the boats passed a cave littered with remains of fallen knights. The fiery breath of a dragon would emerge from a cave to menace passing guests. Oh. So that's what I was talking about, where it's like kind of dark.
Yeah.
Like, it's much darker than you would anticipate for any Disney park.
Yeah, that's straight up murder.
That's straight up murder.
It is.
Facts. Spitting straight facts, Nikki.
Barbecued nights.
There's your opportunity for themed food there.
Skewers.
Well, skewers. You have barbecue skewers, like Bengal barbecue skewers. You could also have turkey legs.
The skewers, the sticks could be swords.
They could be swords. This is getting real dark very quick. I'm eating human. It's so dark.
Yeah, that is
But
terrible.
it works.
Yeah.
It works. It'd be fun. If you guys have any fun ideas of like what food you could bring to Beastly Kingdom, let us know. Share it on socials, tag us, send us an email, whatever it is. We want to hear your silly ideas. So the idea of featuring mythological creatures wouldn't disappear completely, like Sasquatch searching for a piece of beef jerky in the forest. Expedition Everest would open in 2006 in the Asia portion of the park. The ride famously features an enormous animatronic of the mystical Yeti. Unfortunately, it lays dormant now, famously getting the name Disco Yeti because of the strobe light used to fake movement.
Yeah.
So at least there is some type of representation. So I guess even though Beastly Kingdom no longer exists or going to be, well, I mean, like in concept it was, and it was planned to be, it just never came to fruition. At least there is some type of representation of a mystical creature, so it kind of still fills the empty spot of what should have been to a certain extent.
Yeah.
At least the concept of Animal Kingdom is now complete. It's a completed circle in 2006. So at least there's that. What I find really interesting is based on like the things that I described to you, like for the attractions that Beastly Kingdom was supposed to have. Is there anything in your mind that you could pull out that sounds familiar to that?
Well, you already told me this earlier, so I know the answer.
Shush your face.
So I'm ahead of the curve here.
Oh, lucky you.
But there is a ride that comes to mind that sounds in the same vein, called Dueling Dragons.
Yes. So, Imagineers, this is supposedly like
this is all
rumors,
not validated.
I don't think anybody has really come forward saying that this happened or not. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, my research didn't go that deep. But Imagineers that had worked on Dragon Tower and were laid off eventually supposedly brought their ideas to another well-known theme park in Orlando, Universal Orlando Resort. This led to the now extinct Dueling Dragons, later becoming Dragon Challenge, roller coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. Dueling Dragons sat in a land called the Lost Continent, which also featured a ride called the Flying Unicorn, which seemed extremely similar to the Quest of the Unicorn attraction planned for Animal Kingdom. So I don't know whether or not that's true. I really don't. I want to believe that it is.
Does the timing line up? Like when those attractions came to Islands of Adventure, does it time up well with like...
I don't think it necessarily timed up well, but it came after.
It came, but like how long after?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know when Islands of Adventure opened. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I would have to Google search that stuff.
Yeah, well, no, we don't have to. I was just curious. Maybe some listener can do it for us because I don't care to. But
I'll do it later. But...
Okay, you can do it later. But I was just curious if those attractions opened at Islands of Adventure, maybe like 5 years later.
It was definitely within the decade.
Yeah, like after the Beastly Kingdom was scrapped. Like I was just out of curiosity.
I'm sure at some point that
that's probably why it's the rumor.
Yeah,
because it timed up well. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm sure people put those pieces together pretty easily.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's Beastly Kingdom. There isn't a ton to it, but it's a very fascinating story. One that was affected by real world events over in Europe because of Disney's failure of their park. Which really freaking stinks. Like you said, so many things got affected by that crap.
It's so frustrating. Hey everyone, Twitter poll. Were you more entertained by our Beastly Kingdom talk or by my Mickey Pretzel talk?
Twitter. But now I have to actually do a Twitter poll. Now people
what you never do before.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you never did. Every time I called for a Twitter poll, it never happened.
Because it was just a joke. It was like joke Twitter polls that weren't ever going to happen.
Well, this one I just said was a joke Twitter poll. Oh. But every time that I called for a Twitter poll before this, I actually really wanted you to do it. It was never a joke. It was a sincere ask.
Sorry.
But you can make this one real.
Well, you have to go onto Twitter and do it yourself.
I don't Twitter.
You don't Twitter.
I don't tweet.
You don't. Well, I mean, sometimes, occasionally.
Tweet. No, I do not tweet. No, I do not Twitter. I Instagram.
That's it.
Tick and talk sometimes.
You barely do TikTok.
I Facebook, but no, I don't. I even offloaded the app from my phone.
Did you really?
I did. I
really?
ran out of storage.
So you got rid of that?
So I got rid of Twitter, yes.
Why?
Because I never use it.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I just said that, so I guess that makes sense.
I'm old.
You're not old?
Twitter.
You're as old as I am, and I'm not that old. You're older than me, actually.
I am older than you, yeah.
You old fart?
Yeah.
I don't do the tweeters.
For the record, I'm not even a whole year older. I'm 9 months older.
Nah, you're still older. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Cougar, you. Did you
might as well put me in Beastly Kingdom because I'm a cougar.
Beastly Kingdom is just Nikki. That's it. No, Beastly Kingdom is Nikki when you get in the way of her and her Mickey Pretzel. That's what Beastly Kingdom is at this point.
There's like a sideshow of curiosities. This is just me in the cage with a Mickey Pretzel.
Yeah, pretty much.
Stay away.
Stay away from me. That's my cheese. Don't touch my cheese.
If you come too close with the soda in your hand, I'll grab it.
Pretty much. But that brings us to the end of the episode. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed hearing the details behind the creation or potential creation of Beastly Kingdom at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I find this story absolutely fascinating just because I really like the stories of what could have been.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to specifically the Disney parks, you know, at one point they thought about buying Knott's Berry Farm. That could have happened.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bunch of crazy stuff in the Disney history that never happened, but just absolutely bonkers to think of another timeline where that potentially happens. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, it's really crazy to think about. And like it's also really fun just to think about all the stuff that we do know about that never happened. Like, what about this stuff that never even made it that far? Like, what about all the ideas that were thrown out there?
Just the blue sky stuff?
Yeah. Like, oh man, we'd probably be so depressed.
Very overwhelmed, too.
Yeah, of all the stuff that they wanted to do, but it never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you head on over to iTunes, like I said at the beginning of the episode. Leave us a 5-star written review. It greatly helps out the show. It's a free way of supporting the show. It raises us higher in the standings. It makes it easier for everybody to find us and enjoy us like you are right now. As I also said, make sure you check out DRNXMYTH, the show sponsor. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on YouTube. All the episodes get posted there. And on TikTok. So we have so much TikTok going on right now.
I made people very angry on TikTok.
Yes, you did.
I did.
We recently posted a TikTok where I asked everybody if there was a ride that would disappear tomorrow and you wouldn't care at all that it disappeared, what would it be? And Nikki just off the cuff yelled out, "Oh, Mr. Toads." And I was shocked. And the world was shook at that answer. Like, people were like, she chose violence today. People were very unhappy with your decision to just get rid of Mr. Toads.
I mean,
and a lot of people have my same sentiment where it's like, we already got lost in Walt Disney World. You better not lose it in Disneyland.
Some people agreed with me. And I mean, obviously the easy choices are like Astro Blasters or like Winnie the Pooh. But that's not fun.
You gotta choose the hard answers.
Yeah, middle of the road. You know, I'm not
Mr. Toad ain't middle of the road. It ain't middle of the road.
It's middle of the road.
It ain't middle of the road.
Well, I'm not gonna get rid of like.
That's you driving on
the
That's you driving on the opposite side of the road into oncoming traffic. That is what that decision is.
Small World could go.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
Small World in Orlando.
Small World in Orlando could burst in flames and all those dolls can melt.
That and Pirates in Orlando.
Yeah,
just because those are two that both are better versions in Disneyland.
Yeah.
But then that would mean that our Haunted Mansion would have to burst into flames because it's not considered the better version.
We're not talking about all rides that are subpar bursting into flames.
Valid.
Just Orlando rides.
Just Orlando rides that aren't as good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the rule.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's Florida.
Bye-bye, Space Mountain.
Bye.
I don't want to talk about Florida. Let's get off that topic. We'll just talk about the parks. I don't want to talk about Florida.
What's Florida?
I don't know.
What?
No clue. There's just this empty space of land out on the East Coast that just has theme parks and beaches.
Yeah.
Nothing else. No clue what else is going on outside of the property. No clue. Not my circus, not my monkeys on this show. Definitely on other platforms, maybe talked about, but not on this one. Definitely not going to talk about that right now. It's open another can of worms. But yeah, as I said, we're on all those different platforms. Make sure you check us out and have some fun with us on TikTok. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, things that you want to hear on the show, things you don't want to hear on the show, if you like this episode, you can always send an email at
themeparkduo@gmail.com.
And thank you again for listening to this week's episode, everybody. And always remember, there's always a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. See ya!
Thanks for riding with the Theme Park Duo. Make sure to gather all your belongings before the end of the podcast. Bye-bye.